perform this work, you will need to safely raise and support the vehicle as well as remove the brake rotor. For additional assistance with those tasks, please follow the link provided at the end of this video. You will effectively have the brakes off at this point, so it's a really good time to double check them for any maintenance needs. With the rotor off, use a 10mm socket and remove the 3 bolts holding the dust shield in place and remove the dust shield from the spindle, red arrow. The spindle is connected to the tie rod, red arrow, and the control arm ball joint, yellow arrow. Both of these ball joints are completely ruined and should never have been allowed to get to this condition. Begin removal by using a set of pliers to straighten out the cotter pin and pull it from the top of the ball joint shaft, red arrow. Use a 19mm socket and remove the nut, red arrow. Depending on the age and condition of the tie rod end, you may need to use a pickle fork or a ball joint remover, red arrow, to separate the ball joint from the bearing housing. If you are planning on reinstalling the same ball joint, use a ball joint remover, as a pickle fork usually destroys the rubber boot. The nut and bolt on the top, yellow arrow, have a concentric washer on them and are used to set alignment. Make sure to mark them before removing. Use a 19mm and 17mm sockets and remove the lower nut and bolt, red arrow. The bolts are located behind an air diverter for the brakes, red arrows. You can get a lot more room to work if you remove the 2 10mm bolts on the air diverter and remove it. With the diverter off, you can mark both sides of the concentric washer on the top bolt and then remove both nuts and bolts, red arrows. With the bolts removed, you can slip the strut, red arrow, out from the spindle, yellow arrow. The spindle is held to the control arm ball joint by a 17mm nut and bolt that sits in a groove in the joint. Use 2 17mm sockets and remove the nut and bolt, red arrow. Note, this ball joint is shot. The dust boot has been destroyed and all of the grease has leaked out. Do not let your ball joints get to this stage of disrepair. With the nut and bolt removed, you can slide the spindle off the joint. You may need to spread the joint apart and use a little lubricant to get it to let go of the ball joint. Installation is the reverse of removal. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and check out another video in this series.